This is a music production course. It's a free course. And this third video is about delays. We already talked about compression, about the software program Logic Pro itself. You could wonder, like, why would you immediately focus now on delays? Well, compressors control the sound, they shape the sound. And now I'm going to explain how to make the sound wet. Because your recording is dry, so this vocal, that's a dry recording, listen to it.
I am what I am. You are what you are.
Oh, it's like not dry like this. Let me do it like this. Now it should be dry.
I am what I am. You are what you are. We're old but not bold.
So that's a dry recording. I make this dry sound go through two compressors to control the dry sound. And now together we are going to create the wet sound, which will also be guided towards two compressors to control that wet sound. So, but first you have to create that wet sound before it can be controlled by two compressors. In bus 160, I created a lot of delays. You see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's have a look at what kind of delays I use to make that voice, or used to make that voice wet. First of all, the most important delay is the ping-pong delay. Ping-pong left, you can see it here. Ping-pong right over here. You can also see that the volume of this delay is quite full, while the other delays, like the Haas delay left, the Haas delay right, there's less volume that I'm sending to those wet compressors. You also have a slapback delay and a half note delay. Those are the delays. The most important one is the ping-pong delay. I will open it for a moment. And as you can see, there is the left ping-pong delay is a quarter note. So that means the vocal is singing something, and a quarter note later, the delay is repeating it. There is a little bit of low cut and a high cut. What does that mean? Not the full vocal range, all the frequencies are in the delay, are present in the delay. I cut off 170 hertz. There's nothing lower than that, and 7,000 hertz. Nothing higher than that sounds. So it's between 170 and 7,000 that this quarter note bounces. So that means it has a little fade out. It has a feedback. So it means it will sound, and the feedback will make sure that it's repeated but softer. So that would mean if I say this, pa, a quarter note later, you would hear pa, and then a quarter note later again, thanks to the feedback, you will hear another pa, but softer. I put the output on wet. I don't want the dry sound, the original sound, to be in it. So no dry sound, and the wet sound on 100%. A little bit of feedback, quarter note, and I used an EQ slider to cut off low frequencies and some high frequencies. Let's have a look at the right ping-pong delay. At the right side of the speaker, it's also a quarter note, also 25% feedback. Did you see the little difference here? Like, so the left one, I will open them both, has a little deviation minus, and this has a little deviation plus. What does that mean? That it means that I'm taking away, look at that. You can make the quarter note, but a little shorter than a quarter note. And this is a quarter note, but it's a little longer than a quarter note. Little differences can be heard by the human ear. So this quarter note will come a little bit too early, and this quarter note will fall a little bit later. So this way you are able to hear that there is a ping-pong delay in the left ear and a ping-pong delay in the right ear. You can see I panned them out all the way to the left and this one all the way to the right. So it's, if you have two speakers, it's at the left side of the left speaker, and this ping-pong delay you will hear at the right side of the right speaker. You could wonder, like, why not use reverb? What is this ping-pong delay actually doing for us? The ping-pong delay is something that has to do with how the brain functions. So the sound of the vocal is in the middle, and at the left side of the left speaker, at the right side of the right speaker, the sound is repeated and it pulsates. Quarter note here, quarter note there. This way, we have the impression we create some kind of a room. You know, like, oh, there is sound totally in the left, totally at the right. It means the vocal reaches that far. That's what you think. A bigger brain trick is the Haas delay. That's total. It was discovered by a certain De Haas, a guy from the Netherlands, I think. He was from the Netherlands, so the name it's called Haas, De Haas. It's like the animal. Huh? That's funny. I think it's funny. And what did he discover? That, look at that. This delay is set on 10 milliseconds, and the De Haas delay at the right side is set on 20 milliseconds. Again, a little cutoff, 270 hertz here, so nothing below 270, and 6,000, nothing there. Let me see if I can enlarge it for you. If I can make it larger, because now you can read it. At the left side, you see a 128th of a measure, but that's not synced to the tempo of the song. So I set it by hand to 10 milliseconds. That's the length of the delay. I put it on 100% wet, a little cutoff here, and the other has it too. The Haas delay, the left one has it too. That one is set on 10 milliseconds, also has the cutoff, and 100% wet. What is this doing? You can see they're panned out, but a little less. They're panned out to -20 and +20. The Haas delay dictates that when the human brain detects a delay that's a very short delay at the left side of a sound and a very short delay at the right side of a sound, that the brain will think that the sound, that it belongs to the sound. So if you have your vocal in the middle, because it's panned in the middle, and the De Haas delay here and the other De Haas delay at the right side, then the brain will think the vocal covers this whole region from +20 all the way to 0 to -20. So the brain thinks that the vocal is that large. You could wonder, like, why is it so mixed in so softly? It's like you can see the ping-pong delay is mixed in at a high volume, and the De Haas delays are mixed in at a soft volume. This very short delay has the tendency to take away volume. So your vocal is a wave. It goes up, and it goes down, and it goes up. It's a pressure wave. So let's have a look here at the mouse. So if this is the first wave, and the De Haas delay is 10 milliseconds later, then there is a moment right here where my real wave, the real sound is already going under. It's like the other wave, so it goes up and it goes down, but the Haas delay is a bit later, so it's still up here while the other one is already down. And then they cancel each other out. So two waves who go into an opposite direction cancel each other out. If you have a wave up and you have a wave down, then you have nothing, no sound at all. So little parts of your recording are cancelled out by the Haas delay. It's every time when the wave goes up or the wave goes down, and the delay is a bit later, that it cancels out those crossing points. That's why you have to mix it in very softly. You mix it in so we have the benefit that your brain thinks the sound of my voice or of this vocal is all the way from -20 to +20, kind of a large vocal, and we don't want the downside. We don't want to stress the downside that it cancels the cross points where the pressure wave is a positive pressure wave or a negative pressure wave. Let's see, what's the next delay we've got? That's a slapback delay. This slapback delay is set at 130 milliseconds. What's exactly a slapback delay? And there's some cutoff here too. Nothing above 9,000 hertz and nothing under 132 hertz. So it's like deleted, so you say. Only between those numbers you have that slapback delay. Mixed in, 100% width. And what's the slapback delay? You can see it's mixed, it's panned straight on top of the vocal. So the vocal is in the middle and the slapback delay is also right on top of the vocal. What is this? A slapback delay is a delay between approximately 80 milliseconds and 130 milliseconds. And it comes right after the sound. So every time I say, I am, that slapback delay says, just 130 milliseconds later. I am, the am is repeated by this slapback delay. It gives also... it's as if two people are singing and one is just a little bit behind, is 130 milliseconds behind. It also gives the impression the vocal is a bit larger, has a bit more body on it. The last delay is the half note delay. You could wonder, what's that, a half note delay? Why on earth would I add a half note delay with a lot of feedback? So it's repeated over and over again. So if I say, I am what I, then this delay starts to say, I am what I. So it's that late. So I am what I am. On the moment I sing am, the delay starts with I am, but because it's half a measure, it's a half note behind. There's also no cutoff here. So what is this doing here? Well, we don't like silences, do we? In music, we prefer that there is no silence at all. So there was a time that people always put a pad on, a string pad, and they mixed it in very softly, so there was never silence. You could always hear the chords. So if you were just singing a song with guitar and a vocal, and the guitar stops playing for a while, there was always some music sounding under it. So no silence. This has the same function. You create a pad of sounds that with your own music, because I have the half note delay on every instrument, so the guitar, the piano, they all have this half note delay. And it's like a self-created pad with the instruments of your mix. So the sound keeps repeating itself and keeps repeating itself. So you have some of your own noise under your music. And it's a little bit delayed, but it's created with the sounds. It's kind of a pad, a delayed pad with sounds of your own mix. Let's now turn it on.
I am what I am. You are what you are.
And normally, you can see there are empty holes here. Like I am what I am. And the guitar plays a bit, but there are empty spaces. But it's not really empty. So if you listen very carefully, you will hear there is always something going on in the background. There is never true silence.
I am what I am. You are what you are. We're old but not bold.
Let me dial it up. This is what you get. Just listen.
You are what you are. We're old but not bold. Oh, what a joke.
So this is what makes the vocal wet. It's the delays. All right. Let me give you an oversight. The ping-pong delay is in the corners. The sound is pulsating at quarter notes. The Haas delay is extremely short delay. It's meant to give you the idea that the vocal is larger than it in reality is. Then you got the slapback delay. It's kind of a duplicating the vocal, as if someone is singing a fraction behind and the real vocal and the lead vocal, and it creates that it fills it up a bit. And the half note delay is there to create a pad with your own music. Let me turn this one on then one more time so you can hear all of them together. They sound like this. These are all the delays.
I am what I am. You are what you are. We're old but not bold. Oh, what a joke.
So when I turn it off, you will see that you can't hear these delays anymore. They're absorbed by the rest of the music. So the space that's created by these delays is there, so you have the feeling of space, but you can't literally hear it.
I am what I am. You are what you are.
There we go.
We're old but not bold. Oh, what a joke.
There we go. That's it.
They treat us like dogs. No bone, no reward. Our freedom is restricted by the fence of the young. But I can't get up and
You see that. You hear it, I mean. All right. So this is what creates kind of a room around your vocal, around your dry vocal. So it's a self-created room with delays. Ping-pong delay, the Haas delay, slapback delay, and the half note delay. All right. One last subject. Let's circle back a bit. We already talked about the Haas delay. You can use the Haas delay also on other instruments. These have to be mono-recorded instruments, so instruments that have been recorded with one microphone. Have a look. When I enlarge that guitar, you can see there's only one wave here, and if we go to the piano, you can see there are two waves here. So this left wave will sound through the left speaker, and this right wave will sound to the right speaker. So there is a difference. This is microphone 1, this is microphone 2. This might be a mix of close microphones and room microphones. That when you record a piano, you have two microphones that are above the strings, and you have two microphones just placed outside the piano. And so this is a mix of a microphone, a close microphone, and a room mic, and this is also a mix of a close mic and a room mic, and together that's a stereo recording. They mixed it as a stereo recording, and that's how I got it. But this guitar, this resonator guitar, was maybe just plugged in, or it was recorded with one microphone, and it's a mono recording. When you have a mono recording, you should drag it in on a stereo track look at this. When I change this, it becomes a mono track. When you have these two circles entwined, it becomes a stereo track. So even when it's a mono recording, you drag it in on a stereo track. So all the plugins that have something to do with stereo, that might make the sound shift from the left speaker to the right speaker in your mix, they will only work. You can only apply them when you have a mono recording on a stereo track. It should be a stereo track. But what I'm going to say, because we're talking, the subject is, in this case, is the Haas delay. You can see that this guitar is panned out to the right speaker. Sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. And to make sure, to restore that balance a bit, to make the guitar sound wider, I added the Haas delay and I panned it a little bit to the left. So it's an opposite panning. So when the guitar is panned at plus 12, the Haas delay is panned at minus 12. And it goes on like this here in the last chorus, plus 20, minus 21. So that's nearly the opposite. What you see here is that the instrument, in fact, widens over the total length of the song. It's always more and more in the right speaker. And the Haas delay is always more and more into the left speaker. It's always widening more to the sides. The effect of the Haas delay is that it makes the listener think the instrument is larger than it actually is. So here at the beginning, you have the impression the guitar is at plus 12, and you also think, you can also hear it a little bit over there at minus 12. So you think the guitar is that large. It goes from plus 12 to minus 12. At the end, you have plus 24 and minus 23. So you think the guitar sounds all the way from plus 24 over 0 to minus 23. You think the guitar is that large. So the guitar seems to become larger over the total length of the song. That's what the Haas delay is causing. And it's a mixing technique that you can only use for mono instruments, because with the stereo instruments like this acoustic piano, someone already decided for me how wide it's going to be. I cannot change. I can move this whole stereo recording a little bit to the left. That's what I did. It's on minus 10 here. So it's the whole stereo recording is a little bit moved to the left. And I can bring it a little bit more back in, like on minus 6. But I cannot widen the left channel from the right channel anymore, because it's already on a fixed position. Someone did like this. He said, okay, the left channel, we put it, for example, on minus 14, and we put the right channel on plus 14, and then we press mix, and they mixed this stereo track already for me. But it depends a bit. You have to listen, because someone else might say, oh no, I want it wider. The left channel is mixed in at 26, minus 26, and the right channel is mixed in at plus 26. So the left and the right are mixed on a fixed position, but I don't know what that position is unless I just listen to the piano. So I hope this helps you to understand a bit better what you can actually do with the Haas delay. If you have a mono recording, you can make that instrument sound wider and also larger, so fuller over the total length of your song. And you can't do this with the stereo track of the piano, because the left and the right channel are in a fixed position. I can't make it wider anymore, and therefore I cannot make the sound fuller anymore. So the impact of that piano will stay the same over the total length of the song. With the guitar, that's not the case. All right, that's it.